Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
We hope you guys are doing well. Hope you're subscribed to all three channels: Evolutionary, EEARTS, and Heart's Home. And over on EEARTS, if you haven't checked it out yet, there's 54 videos, 54 on healing through energy work, Qigong meditation. So I would definitely encourage you guys to check it out. So this is The Way of Energy, and I've talked about this book before, and I can't think of a simpler place to start, and yet a place that's so clear, so well defined, and gives you techniques that you can grow with and use 30-40 years later, like I am, and Cindy is. It is just probably the very best book to start with if you're starting into Qigong. And this is a PDF that I will give you guys a link to. It's from academia.edu, and I've read a lot of different things on that website, as they have a lot of interesting papers and studies that people have done into things like, maybe the Sumerian Anunnaki gods and the mythologies and the King's List and all sorts of stuff, fun stuff. So as we grow older, and even when we're not very old, we can have postural problems. And this is not just about postural problems, but just saying. You could have postural issues that will seriously interfere with the energy flow in your body, can cause decompression of the spine and discs, can really stop the organs from functioning properly. If you have had any sort of maybe a little bit more advanced biology, and you understand how the nerve plexes are situated in the body and how so many nerves are impeded just by our everyday activities, when we do not allow ourselves the time to decompress, quite literally, and get back to the normal state that we find ourselves in when we're typically born. But even when we're born, if it's a tough birth, you could have a locked up occipital. That's something that was brought to the forefront when I was studying craniosacral therapy, because so many doctors will go ahead and grab with the forceps, and just coming out of the womb, the baby will already be out of alignment, so to speak. This, let alone the emotional and other traumatic events that we go through.
Oh yeah, definitely. Birth is a big one. If you're one, or you delivered and it was a traumatic birth, that can carry on well into your life, well into your teens, well into your 20s, 30s, 40s. And it's just so important to find ways to give your body that break so it can move itself into alignment. Because remember, everything around us is energy, and all of that energy affects our 3D body. And there is a way for our bodies to kind of catch a break or catch a breath or allow itself to unfold. Just look to nature. Always look to nature when you're asking questions. But you look at flowers and how they just unfold. They unfold perfectly. You don't have to give them any instruction. They don't read any directions. They don't need any school books. They don't need any of that. They don't need to be told. The flowers just unfold very naturally. And the human body can help itself naturally as well if you know the right things to do.
Yes. And so, again, a lot of people have limitations imposed on them by time and by circumstances and traumas. So, if you're somebody that has fused vertebrae, for instance, it's going to be a little more challenging. It doesn't mean you can't improve your situation. You could always improve your situation. Absolutely. And there are very simple ways of doing this. So, going through everything that I've gone through and being in the fields I've been in, sometimes it could boggle your mind when people don't think of the simple things and say they have compressed disc, and they don't automatically think, well, I should decompress it. that would be the first thing to do, is to decompress, in my mind. And again, in this world, of course, you got to consult your doctors, whether whether it's a chiropractor first, or an ortho, or any of the medical professionals per se. But the beauty of this world too is we can do our own research, and often there are people that have skills that they could teach us that can really help us get out of pain. And more than just get out of pain, it's get your life back, get your mobility back, get that flow of energy back, get your organs functioning better. Again, if you have interrupted nerve flow that's going into the lungs, you could develop breathing problems, of course. And it might be as simple as decompressing. And again, yoga could help with that too. Yoga, hatha yoga, and other forms of yoga that will incorporate the asanas, very beneficial. Very beneficial. Just the very act of breathing, as again, our postures are typically not perfect in this world, because time and everything about life can kind of beat us down over time, and maybe we're not standing as straight as we used to. Maybe we are leaning more to the left, leaning more to the right. Maybe one hip is a little further ahead than the other hip. There's all sorts of issues. Maybe, because you're always craning your neck to the left, you develop some calcification amongst the discs. All these things are possibilities and probabilities that we're going to be affected by them at some point in time. But again, it's even larger than that. And I got to say, the guides kind of blew my mind, but it really shouldn't blow my mind at all, when they were telling us that you guys haven't been doing enough standing, enough of what we call in Qigong. Again, Qigong is just Chinese for energy work, of which Zhang Zhuang is a practice of still standing. And it's standing with a purpose. And going back to these right there, that's purposeful standing. What are they doing? This position right here that she is in, I know as, and in other traditions you might know it as something else, wading in the stream. And so there is a yin and a yang position, of which if the palms were up and the arms were higher up, facing with the palms towards the sky, it's what we would call holding the golden urn. And then palms down, it's wading in the stream. They are yin and yang positions, and they balance the left and the right hemispheres of the body. Again, there's this as above, so below, as within, so without, that we cannot overstress how much that is the case.
Sometimes in life, it really is the simplest things, standing. Who would think that could help you so very, very much? And sometimes that's all people can do. I mean, they might be able to get up, they might be in a wheelchair, they might be able to get up, and they might be able to stand. Well, what if there were ways that were beneficial to the body, that if you stood this way, it helped your inner core strength? And not just your inner core strength, but what about the rest of you, emotionally and externally?
Yeah, and that's the part that the guides wanted to get through to us, because we had so much going on, with helping as many people as we do on a given day, and the energy work that we do on people. And traditionally, it is traditional in Qigong that if you're helping others for 1 hour, you have to practice for yourself at least 1 hour. So if you're doing 4 to 6 hours a day of energy work, you need to do the same for yourself to keep your strength up, to keep yourself in alignment, to keep the energy flowing. And so it's easy in this world to not do that over time. The part that really was mind-boggling for me, and again, it should be more of a of course, is that there's an alignment between the higher self and the smaller self, that when our structure's off, that alignment could also be off. And it's harder to get the downloads from the higher self if posturally, structurally, you're not in alignment.
certain traumas, and I did learn this when I was learning biofield tuning, car accidents, just traumas, concussions, that really disturbs the energy around you. So you have to learn ways to kind of calibrate yourself in a way. And one way is through energy work. That's what we do. Biofield tuning is another way. Mantras are another way. But standing, I have found to be the best way to really bring yourself into alignment with your soul, spirit, and your life purpose.
Yes, and we've talked about Master Li Ching Yuan, and he is truly a master. Again, he barely ate food. He ate goji berries, wild ginseng, heishu wu, gotu kola. They say a little rice wine. He said he didn't drink so much rice wine. But basically, a few berries and a little bit of herbs. And it's documented that he lived from either 1677 or 1736 to 1933. What? He was either 197 or 256. He actually told us that he was older than that. And Cindy was channeling him. Cindy can channel him. And he does give us coaching in our Qigong. And one of the things that he has said is more standing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. He's, he's one that understands the benefits of standing. And it, Mike and I, we had to be a bit reflective and look back on our lives and say, well, when were we going through the most changes? When in our lives did we go through the most alignment? And it was when we were practicing the Qigong, usually twice a day and doing the standing. And you can start with like 1 minute. Don't let any of this intimidate you. 1 minute can do a lot for you. Just 1 minute of standing and allowing the energy to do what it needs to do around you, to like unfold the way it needs to unfold naturally, can bring a lot of benefit, not just to the body, but I'm talking the mind and the soul, because they're all one. And we have these layered bodies, our energy body, our pain body, our mental body, our astral body, they all kind of fold down into alignment, kind of like dominoes. Try to think of it maybe like that. I think that's okay.
Absolutely. And so the elder student of the master I was learning from in Connecticut would go and stand literally for 3 or 4 hours at pretty much every Saturday in the park. 3 to 4 hours. That's serious discipline. Now, again, you might think it's easy, but when you're in proper alignment, it should be easy. But the fact is we're usually not in proper alignment. And over time, as we get tired, it gets more challenging and you might find yourself shaking. So when you stand still in the first position, with your body correctly aligned, you're drawing energy, the life force, the chi, the ki, the prana, from the earth, and you're accelerating its flow in your body. This practice of standing still is an ancient discipline. Its first known reference dates back to the oldest and most influential book in the history of world medicine, the Yellow Emperor's Classic of Internal Medicine, thought to have been written about 4,000 years ago. So, this really comes from the previous Bronze Age, and it's leftover knowledge from the higher ages. I have heard that in ancient times there were so-called spiritual beings. They stood between heaven and earth, connecting the universe. They understood and were able to control both the yin and the yang, the two fundamental principles of nature. They inhaled the vital essence of life. They remained unmoving in their spirit. Their muscles and flesh were as one. This is the Tao. This is the way you are looking for. Oh, yeah. It's again, this is the practice of the immortals, is how it is actually termed. With every breath, you get to the point where with every breath, you are drawing in the life force. And again, I can't say that I do with every breath. No, I get caught up in the world. I get emotionally tied in. I get irritated, angered. Sure, I get off center all the time. It's just kind of natural in these times to do so. But boy, can we right the ship just by stilling the body, aligning the body, and stilling the mind. And so when you get your position just right, this is the first part, and this is just so you get used to it. Your whole frame is suspended. It's like you're hanging from your Bahui point, which is right really where the soft spot in the baby's skull is. And that's also where the crown chakra is. So you hang from it like a puppet. You feel yourself hanging from it. You kind of feel a tug from the cosmos pulling you up from the crown, as you also feel the weight, the gravity of the earth pulling at your spine and also pulling at your feet. When I do this practice over a period of time, I'll notice that my feet are deeply imprinted into the ground, and it's far deeper than when you just say stand in a spot without using your conscious intention to pull energy from the ground. So you see the point at which you are suspended is in line with the tips of the ears. The dantian lies 3 centimeters or about 1.25 inches below your navel, 1/3 of the way into your body. It's lined with Si4SPE. Well, I think that you're probably looking at about L4 is what they're trying to. That's talking also about different acupuncture points. But as far as where the dantian is, and there's actually 3 dantians, not to confuse the point. There is the lower dantian, which again is below the navel. Then you have the middle dantian, which is between the heart chakra and the solar plexus chakra. And the lower dantian is the reservoir of the Jing. That's the thicker, more physical life force. The emotional life force is stored in the middle reservoir, the middle dantian. And the upper dantian lies around the pineal gland, and that's where the Shen, or the spirit, resides. So feel yourself as you're standing there, being tugged gravitationally by both the heavens and the earth. The weight is evenly distributed between the left and the right, and feel the activation in the foot chakras, the Yongquan. So this is important to feel that you are anchored, vision, roots coming from these points sinking into the earth. You could also vision, because there are chakras on each toe, and there's chakras really all over our body. There's thousands, literally. See them all giving off these roots and sinking into the earth, and pull the life force up with each breath. Every inhale, pull the life force in from both heavens and earth. You could take it even farther, pull it in from every chakra, and even farther yet, pull it in from every pore in the skin of your body. Draw it into the body. You can either intentionally guide it to be stored in the lower dantian, which would help boost your physical endurance, strength, your Wei Qi field. Again, it's said that when the Wei Qi field is strong, you will not get sick. You won't get colds. You won't have allergies. Those things just won't happen. And, again, it's been so long, I kind of forget just how much this is the practice that really did make my L4 and L5 discs that were ruptured. And again, Western medicine told me, you're not going to play tennis, you're not going to jog, you're not going to weight lift. You're basically going to be an invalid the rest of your life, when I was just turning 30. And so 28 years later, not the case. Not the case at all. And, this is the practice that restored that for me. And then later on, as I had healed from that, then I got Lyme's disease and felt all of a sudden that I was 90 years old with the rheumatoid arthritis that was clinically diagnosed setting into my body, which was later reversed by this same practice. And I've been able to keep everything manageable for the most part. Besides when I get really worn down, usually it's caused by a move or by radiation coming from a TR3B.
It definitely happens. It happens. You still get worn down, even when you know to do all the right things, even when you know to eat all the right things and have a good practice. Still, if you're not really, really centered and anchored into your practice and just every day, then that's when you start getting worn down little by little, and you don't even notice it. It's like that old frog in warm water, pretty soon it's spoiling, and that it's too late. It's just too late, but it's never really too late. You can go back to the simple things. So it's not so complicated. You do it a few times, you get that feeling and that stuff anchored into your muscles and your energy, and you get that feel for it, and you remember a few things, and this is something that can help, dig you out of a pickle, and it can really help take you a long way if you just hold on to that discipline. But everybody gets behind, everybody has difficulties, everybody can get, worn down, exhausted. It happens, and moving is one of the bigger ones. And, people who are always on the go, if you're not well rooted, you cannot be well nourished. So you always want to try to be rooted wherever you're at, so you can get the nourishment you need and the strength that you need. But this is one thing that you can always do, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, even if you're in like bad bodily shape. This is something that can help you tremendously gain back that inner strength.
And so in this position right here, you're just focusing on structural alignment, just getting it right before you start the real actual work. And the other thing to do too is we flatten out the back of the spine by tilting the spine and flattening the back as if you were just about to go sit on a bar stool, and you were just going to kind of lightly keep your butt on that bar stool, but you might have to pop up at any moment. And again, when you go over here and you do the Qigong first full class, or you do the short program, they give you a little bit more in-depth visualizations of how that is and how we are sitting and all. And I'm going to give you guys a couple other authors to look into. But the reason why we're bringing this up at this point in time is because besides giving us the strong Wei Qi field, this is also literally helping us with the Ascension process. And this is probably why I've had a relatively smooth Ascension process, albeit the things that I've done myself to myself, caused by youthful exuberance, mostly nothing to do with Kundalini situation. But Qigong is a magnificent practice to combine with yoga and with mantras. They so go hand in hand, And then when we move into the position of what's called embracing the tree, this is a gathering position where we are, again, holding our body in this alignment. The knees are slightly bent. You have your feet, the toes are basically straight ahead. There's a little bit of an internal twist going on. There are some Mantak Chia books that give you a little bit better illustration on that. And, I don't want to go too long with that, but I'll give you some links again to give you those illustrations. But it's like a torquing into the ground.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. There's a lot of studying that can be done, and it really is a very curious practice that can help you in all areas of your life, and it's relatively simple, believe it or not. This life does not have to be as complicated.
No, very simple. And again, Mantak Chia, he has tons of videos, tons of books. We probably have 7 or 8 of his books, and that's not even, he's probably got 20 or 30 books by this time. So again, he would be somebody that you can look into. Dr. Yang Xingming, Adamo Mitchell is another one. There's so many people that can give good illustration, but I think this is the best beginner's book for looking into the Zhangzhuang. And this is the position that typically we'll focus on the most until we get to a certain point in time, which literally may take decades, typically. In these times, everything is moving much, much faster. But you basically envision that you have balloons under the elbows. There's like inflation going on under the armpits because we don't want to pinch the circulation in any of the meridians. And again, you're lined up nice and straight, and you're resting on these imaginary balloons. And it could be challenging. It could be challenging. The guides want Cindy and I to do 40 to 60 minutes a day, mostly in this position, but as needed, moving into other positions. So, this is so powerful. And again, all the things that we have going on in this world, you want to have a strong immune system. But also, this is so key. This will help with the ascension process. The life force is absolutely, it's everything. It really is. It's when the life force leaves the body that we have death, and we're no longer there. Yeah, the life force is the animating thing. The life force is so important to cultivate consciously. And this is a great, great practice to do so with. Again, draw consciously in the life force. Just visualize it. And again, if you have general low energy, low vibrancy, if you're fighting allergies, if you're fighting inflammation, if you're fighting a cold or whatever it is, imagine like a vibrant green, like the hills of Ireland, a beautiful, beautiful crystalline, vibrant green. See it surrounding you. Every inhale in, take your life force into the body. See it going into the body. Again, I like to visualize it going all the way into the bone marrow. And when you exhale, see your entire body glow in this crystalline greenish light. And, it's a transformative practice. So again, I can't overstress how important this is. And it will help align you spiritually with your higher self.
Indeed.
As always, guys, much love. God bless and namaste.
Namaste.